So how do you think it went?
The overall lesson went, I think it went exceptionally well for being doing the stations.
Like, what did you specifically see that you liked?
I like the individual time they had with teacher time. You can see the weakness of the student when you're doing the teacher's time. And so you can see their strength and you can identify strength and weakness. And I saw a lot of that as far as just from information from my folder to their folder, actually underlining the RTS. I saw a lot of that skill. And so that helped me a lot.
During the small group?
Yes.
Yeah, that is nice. That was just one day.
It was one day, yes. So I said, wow, okay, it's going to do very beneficial, the teacher time.
Nice. So. How about the other stations? Like, how are you feeling about how the other stations went while you were doing small group?
The activity with the toothpicks, it seemed like, I don't know if that's, because they didn't want to model their, the triangles. They just wanted to copy what I had as an example. They didn't want to build the triangle, you know, the pattern, the first set, the second set, third set. They said, well, just let me look at copy Dr. Lockett instead of just actually seeing triangle 1 and you add 2 to it and you add 2. So because they couldn't complete the table unless they built it themselves. They just wanted to copy the example that was on my paper.
And so that prevented them from
actually seeing is it a function or not. To identify if I add, you know, the ratio or the proportion, they can actually see it aligning itself up, but they don't want to. They took the shortcut.
They just wanted to use the picture.
They want to use that because I had an example.
Yeah, I saw the picture on there, and then instead of taking the actual tooth, where the straws.
There was coffee stirs because everyone used toothpicks to be poking each other.
Right. So they took the stirs, and they didn't want to take the stirs and build it.
Right. They just want to. So I don't want to do that. I just want to see your copy and copy.
That's interesting because that's the hands-on part. You think they'd want to touch them and build them.
Right. I had a few, but majority overall throughout the day, it was the same issue. I need you to build it.
Did that prevent them from learning?
I think so. I think if we go to the next step, what you have to add, the next step was how many did you add to it? What was added to the first set of triangles?
Right, that makes sense.
The pattern. So,
right. Yeah. That's interesting. So, what comparisons might you make between the lesson you had planned and envisioned and the one that you actually taught? Like, how it went versus how you thought it was going to go?
Well, I thought it went well for first time doing station in middle school for me. The lesson plan, I think more detail as far as instruction in the station could help me. More written details per student section. This is step 1, this is step 2, step 3. I had a general instruction sheet on what to do instead of step. This is what I need to do first, second, and third. And
so by having the details, that will help with. What will you see that would be better, that you know that it's better?
What I see, I think details, and then actually have them do maybe a checklist in each station or their paperwork to see if I did step 1 or did step 2, step 3. So they would verify me that you actually did the hands-on, like the seat work or.
And what will you see as far as this? What will you see students doing with more details versus what you saw?
Actually participating, actually doing the work, actually having conclusion, drawing their own conclusion, and their own understanding of the TEKS, I guess. I think that's the direction I need to go. One of the directions I need to go anyway.
And clarify if I'm wrong, I was thinking too that maybe you were thinking that they would know better what to do independently.
Yes. Instead of saying, Dr. Lockett.
Right.
Because I had you're in the group, you're working with each other, ask each other. You know, and I said 3 before me, and they still call my name, especially one of my fifth period people. So.
Yeah, that was their first time doing that.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited about it.
What effect did your decisions have on? Well, you haven't really seen results yet. Like, how will you know your decision? This was a good decision.
Well, I've seen a little results as far as the unit test today.
Oh, you already did.
I've seen because there was like way below, but even one student. David is his name. He came up. He was making real like 20, 30, and he made, even though he didn't pass, but he made 50%. So that's a growth, and that's just from this week from function because the test is on function. So that was a plus for me.
Did you work with him independently during this one group?
We did. We did the function, the foldable, and then he actually got into the maze, understanding what the function was not a function. So he did it, and he surprised himself. Wow, I'm growing. So yeah, you are.
Nice.
So that was a plus. So
Nice.
hopefully we just continue. I think I told you, like I shared the other day, just continue to make small changes and maybe, perhaps believing they'll go up. And so that was exciting. He got excited. He has grin to speak on his face. So that was
nice.
exciting. Yeah.
That is exciting. So let's see. What do you want to stay mindful of from now on, based on this this lesson?
I guess the student achievement, to see the growth in the student, because I was like, it's not working. What I'm doing is not working. So I think growth would be exciting.
How will you see the growth?
I'm gonna put some class on my board up here, class competition, and then chart the data so they can see what class is doing what, and then offer surprises and great things to come. So I guess gifts, not gifts, but the rewards is a better word. Yeah.
And then, how might you apply your new learning?
Just continue to do it. You know, it's going to take some time more planning, but just continue to sit down and actually getting the centers together and just continue to do it. That's all I can say. And see how well it works as we do assessments.
So that's what I was going to go. You almost answered my question.
Okay.
I was thinking as you were talking. So what? By continuing to do it, what do you think that will be the biggest difference that you see? There should, you'll see a couple, 3 differences. What do you think?
Well, I should see student achievement, just see student growth. Should we see student behavior improve as far as what the expectations are, and for us in small groups, maturing to the level they need to be, and then perhaps their writing improving and their reading skills improving. Because really, it's really basically working with your colleagues, your student colleagues, and helping each other to understand. And so, hopefully, student behavior and student achievement will improve.
Those are the 2 things I had in mind. I didn't know if you had something else in mind.
No, just...
You can have more. As you reflect on this conversation, how has it supported your learning?
It supported my learning to say, you just have to make some changes to make it work. And sometimes we don't want to, but sometimes, research says stations working this day in this generation, teaching the millennials, so maybe perhaps that is one of the answers to teaching students who, who have foundational life, don't have the foundational skills to bring them up, to make that achievement gap, close the achievement gap. So it may just be correct, I guess, way of teaching the students that we have here in Hempstead Middle School.
Do you think that you thought of some things by having this conversation that you might not have thought of and reflected on if we wouldn't have had the conversation? I think,
yes, as far as they can do it by themselves. The myths that students can't teach each other because they don't know each other, they don't know anything. A lot of teachers say that. Well, how they gonna teach each other if they don't know? But it's one person in that group knows, and if one person knows in the group, and then they just enhance each other, and eventually, I saw that eventually they teach each other, and so I thought that was a plus.
I think you brought up a lot of good points that maybe you wouldn't have thought of.
Absolutely.
Just on your own. I think that you have thought of a lot of it because we've talked about it.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Yeah.
All right.
That's what I need to do. Thank you so much.